It's really difficult to score sometimes against teams that know how to switch and switch well. The Clippers are one of those teams that do a great job.
Reggie Jackson shooting 29% from outside the arc on the season. Paul George leads the NBA in steals. Paul George leads the NBA in steals at 3.3 per game. Comes up with one right there. Looking to turn it into points and cannot. Batted, and Okogie unable to catch up to it.
At his will at that point. Should have not reached in at that point.
So it'll be 3 free throws. By the way, these are two teams that do not get to the line. Paul George able to hit them both.
Clippers, Dave. They were an excellent shooting team. So 3-point percentage, they're 22nd in the league, shooting 32.4. But not having, obviously, Marcus Morris.
Try to get it to Okogie. The Clippers come up with the ball.
The one thing about Carl in those double team situations is that missed free throws and made free throws, missed threes, made threes are contagious. Everything that Orlando threw up went in the fourth quarter. Pat Bev gets the duty of guarding PG here, at least early on.
And Paul George off the glass and in. This is a Clippers team, Jim, that has struggled on the glass this season. They were out-rebounded by 20-plus in their 2 games against Cleveland and Portland. Edwards on the attack, and he'll go to the line for a pair. Didn't work out so good for them in that series.
Again, Minnesota flying around here. Last possession was excellent for Minnesota. Terrence Mann knocks down a 3 right. See what a good screener Hartenstein is too, as Ant gets the steal there. It's a good matchup for Vandal. I think he can do a nice job, as Torian Prince does a really nice job of tracking that pass. Paul George tried throwing it out to Luke Kennard, and it's also called determination. Both things that are Anthony Edwards' attributes.
McLaughlin, a little bit too strong. Bledsoe, and Bledsoe took a look and saw Edwards, and then that altered his shot.
But still, he's been good. He was great against Denver.
Tied for the 5th time tonight. Wolves force another turnover. Jared Vanderbilt skies for the flush.
Set the hook that time, baby. Nice job by Paul George out of the timeout, and he got an easy one. Edwards
Nearly gave up the basketball as the Clippers were ready for the pass. Paul George had 32 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists in the comeback win the other night. Gives it back to Beverly, gets it right back. Reed.
Sometimes he gets a little overzealous.
It's the first second chance bucket of the game for the Wolves. Paul George, his first made 3 tonight.
You know, his shot is so flat. It's got great rotation, but just a little flat.
Paul George, that found the geometric center of the football.
Stealing my line. And has not hit 2 threes in a game since then. He's 2 for 2 in this one.
Paul George.
Paul George is PG-13 he's rated R right now.
I mean, we just don't want it to turn into TVMA here tonight.
Yeah. It's he's all of a sudden 5'7". He's got 14. Thomas trying to sling it on PG right there.
And Paul George said something to Towns. They were coming back up the floor, and then he sets up Zubats as Towns was trailing.
Brother. Somebody was saying that as Karl-Anthony Towns out of the timeout can't get that to go. As Karl-Anthony Towns out of the timeout can't get that to go. Then if Kevin Garnett's the big ticket, that Anthony Edwards should be the main event.
Well,
you realize this young kid at 20 years of age can just completely take over a game.
It just turned 20 back in August.
Oh, George is just ridiculous. The way he's been shooting the ball from outside the arc, Clippers have dropped off. They were #1 in the NBA last year in three-point percentage and free throw percentage. They are not there now.
Corner jumper won't go for Towns. Got a lot of fouls to play with here in the second half.
And Josh Okogie got his money's worth on a couple against Paul George, but PG comes in and knocks down that three right away.
Clippers have yet to miss a shot, by the way, here in the third quarter.
You know, some of what Minnesota's given up in terms of percentage.
And practice a number of times last season. Paul George wins that battle.
Get on the floor.
Karl Anthony Towns takes the basketball away.
Made it uncomfortable for PG.
Zubac with the finish.
He certainly was.
He was making all that money. He was making all that money, and I think there's a lot of angst as PG knocked down a shot. Whatever shooting woes the Clippers have had before this game, if Karl throws it out, you've got to swing it to the backside. That's where the open player is.
Paul George.
Unreal.
I mean, he's just hitting everything right
It's
now.
It's been an incredible shooting display.
LA an 8-0 run. Beverly the feed for Vanderbilt underneath, and Vando will have a chance for a three-point play.
Yeah,
Foul here.
Yeah, Paul George.
Paul George.
Got
We see
rules
Olympic
against that.
restrictions,
Yeah.
but you know, you can certainly YouTube it and check it out if you haven't seen it as Jackson goes through.
I'm a big Leonard Hamilton fan too. He just is a great coach.
Oh, how does Paul George get that to go? The Wolves get a hand on it and it goes anyway. It's knocking on the door of his season scoring average, and we're still in the third. Towns off the glass, no. Paul George comes down with a rebound. Paul George comes down with a rebound. Ball squirts free. Towns takes it. Towns.
Unreal.
And Paul George gives up the body. Was he in the restricted area? It's not like the Timberwolves have played poorly here tonight. The Clippers have just played better.
No. The Wolves have tried to do the right thing by getting the ball out of Paul George's hands, but I mean, Noel's in the game too, by the way, for Minnesota. Easy play by Paul George, just sifting through Minnesota's defense.
11 of 14 from the field for Paul George. Have it back to a 10-point game. Oh, Beverly strips Paul George. Edwards for Vanderbilt, and it's back to an 8-point game. Minnesota 30 points off those turnovers.
Did you say 30 or 20 turnovers?
I'm sorry, they forced 20, and they've got 30 points off of that.
You know what? You turn the ball over like that, and I don't know if he was worried about clear path.
Oh, Edwards had the ball, but it kicks off his leg out of bounds. Come precious for Minnesota. Edwards D'ing up on Paul George, forces a miss. And then she came out of there and said technical foul on number 22. So Paul George looking to get back that point the Timberwolves were just giving off the defensive 3 seconds, and he does. Paul George. They'll call a shot clock violation as it didn't touch rim.
Plain old Wolves.
Yes.
I love Wolves.
Clippers a season high.